Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
At Room to Room, there's no need to wait. Black Friday deals are going on now.
Ready for the best sleep you've had in years? For a limited time only, get an heirloom king-size mattress for the price of a queen.
Room to Room Tupelo, where we know there's no place like your home.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Laubon. Thank you so much for joining us here on this Thursday evening. I'm, full black tie here because I'm going to the Chickasaw and Kana Foundation's annual gala coming up here. So it'll be Gabe at 6 o'clock. And no, Gabe, this is not open season on the bow tie. It's a formal event. Got one of those for you. We'll let it pass in that situation as well. But certainly it was a warmer day today, and those temperatures continue to trend warmer over the course of the next couple of days. Those above average temperatures, much of the extended forecast probably finding our way that direction. Rainfall remains a bit more elusive, and more on that here in a moment. Football forecast, again, we're going to be fairly mild for mid-November at this point here. We'll look at those in more detail. And again, rain chances are going to return next week, including some thunderstorms, maybe some severe weather. That's in the far extended forecast. We'll talk about that more here in a couple of minutes. But as far as this evening is concerned, we're low 60s at 6 p.m. there, about 52 degrees as we look toward 9, 48 by midnight, about 46 degrees as we look toward 3 o'clock in the morning, with mid-40s on the way for early tomorrow. Maybe some patches of fog, but probably not quite as much dense fog as what we had out there for early this morning, as that was pretty difficult to see through for at least a little while, and certainly slowed down traffic to begin the day. Outside in Kosciuszko, that sun just right now going below the horizon there, off in the distance. 70 degrees the temperature there right now in Attala County. That humidity sitting at around 60%. Dew point 55 tells us that measure of moisture a little higher than it was even yesterday, as we're getting more of that return flow out there. Caledonia coming in 71. That measure of moisture not quite as high at about 45. It looks like the bugs loving this camera, which had tons more color just a couple minutes ago. Again, that sun below the horizon, still some of those reds showing up there for those longer wavelengths of light still hitting up higher in the sky as the sun below the horizon, so it's not getting us at the ground level, but still hitting the clouds up there. And then Maven coming in 66, again, that red glow on a few of the clouds under what are, again, mostly clear skies when it's fairly calm there in the Maven area. Now, high temperatures today, middle 70s. Our normal this time of year around 66 degrees or so a better part of around 8 to 10 degrees above what we typically expect for this time of year, with 80s back to the west of us. At this hour, we've watched those temperatures drop to around 67 Meridian. We're 66 degrees in Starkville and the Columbus area, as well as 66 in Tupelo, under, again, these mostly clear skies. Look at the latest on Mississippi Live Weather Radar at this instant. Again, high pressure is the story, and only a few high clouds showing up out there. We'll put this into motion. We'll make this a 12-hour loop. Just give me a moment to kind of bring that up there. As you can just get those high clouds largely after we broke up the fog this morning, a big part of the story. Go much wider here. Again, we have another ridge of high pressure back out west of us, closer to Denver, Colorado there. And then a couple of storm systems back toward the west coast of the United States here. We have one there closer to San Francisco, another one a long, long ways away. And it is that second storm system I think we're a little bit more concerned with. I'll show you the distance there, again, from Mississippi here, stretching all the way out there. We show about 3,700 miles away, so a long distance. This one is the next one that will bring us more active and potentially some stronger thunderstorms when we start thinking about the weather forecast eventually, but it's going to take a long trek. It's got to go all the way down south here and through the Pacific, and then kind of dig down toward the Baja of California, and then eventually it's going to kind of come up toward us from the south and west. Again, while it's 3,700 miles away, the actual track it takes is much, much longer. And the thinking is that depending on the timing, and it's a huge if, but depending on the timing, some stronger thunderstorms could be possible once it eventually gets closer to us. And the expectation on that is probably late next week. Could it be Thursday? Maybe late Thursday night, or early Friday. Remains to be seen. The storm system advance probably weakens a lot more before it gets here, the one you see near the west coast of the United States, but it's the one behind that, again, that we're concentrating, I think, a little more on, and we're probably looking late next week before that has an impact on us. By then, though, it could potentially be some strong and severe storm impacts by the time it gets here. In the near term, high pressure of the story, mainly clear conditions. As you can see, no precipitation across the northern part of the state, that we do show just maybe a sprinkler or two down Hattiesburg back toward around the Laurel area. 10 p.m., 11 p.m. tonight, that H is the story. Now, very well depicted the last couple of nights with the fog that we had earlier this morning. On Futurecast here, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, we're not really depicting much of that. Now, that's not to say we won't have any. We show some back toward Yazoo City, a little bit toward Memphis, and I see just a smattering of locations where we have a little bit of mist and fog there south of Tupelo towards Starkville. But in general, we expect to probably begin a little clearer than today. But yeah, you can see by around 8 o'clock in the morning, a little bit more of that showing up. So it is, again, right there around dawn if it forms. We'll look at that with a zoomed-in version of Futurecast here in just a minute. So starting off around 45 degrees for early in your morning there on your Friday. We're 60 by 9 a.m., 74 by noontime with 76 as we look toward 3 p.m. Lots of sunshine. Again, high pressure and control, clear skies, fairly calm conditions, though those winds still about 5 to 10 miles per hour there. We'll show how that's going to interact and impact our forecast for your Friday night football, including our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Casey Lott. And, we're at that point now, we're talking SEC football forecast presented by Carl Hogan Toyota, breaking those down as well as Mississippi Live weather at 5 continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
This roof's getting installed with our premium roofing system. Backed by our 50-year warranty. And there's a 0% financing, no payment for 6 months options that this customer utilized. If you're looking for a new roof and you need an affordable option, call Absolute Restoration.
I felt accomplished after I got my diploma. Made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
You wonder how they're going to experience the real world in real safety, where all kids are welcome and everyone has a path forward to new skills, advancement, leadership, something they will carry with them the rest of their lives.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovhawn.
Well, happy Thursday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lovhawn. Thank you so much for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather on just what has been an absolutely beautiful day outside right now in the Cleveland area, showing up with those mostly clear conditions. Obviously looking pretty clear out there. Does look like, for whatever reason, my background there got shifted a little bit. Let me see if we force this over to a different version of this. Nope, looks like my background shifted. Give me just a second here to see if I can fix my video on that. Well, that might actually be on the other end there. Got double lives. Gabe, I wonder if we had double lives before on that. Let's go ahead and switch it back over here then to the virtual set, because I know that that has a single live that shows up on that there, and we'll check that after the show. Don't let me forget about that, Gabe. Hey, but outside again, Cleveland, we're looking pretty good at this instant under those mostly clear skies, and not a lot of complaints coming about today's forecast. It was pretty nice. Outside right now in Tupelo, coming in 66 degrees. It looks a little brighter there, again, looking away from the sun at this instant. Under these mostly clear skies. Again, maybe some patches of fog for you early tomorrow morning again, kind of like we had today. And because, of course, we have that tower in the way, it looks like a little blurry, so might have to move that shot there. It's Smithville, 66 there at this instant. Hey, at least we're pretty consistent on those 60s and probably keeping at least a light jacket in the forecast as far as tonight is concerned. Your high school football game of the week for tomorrow, presented by Casey Lott, and of course those good folks up at Langston Lott. Pre-game temperature coming in 67 degrees. We're 58 by halftime, 57 by the final snap of that game under what, again, will be clear conditions, but 57, not warm, but pretty nice for where we typically are for this time of the year, which is typically quite a bit cooler than that. But you'll definitely need the jacket. Weekend forecast also looking the same, where I think early in the day and in the evenings, maybe a light jacket. But anyway, come on, there's 77 degrees on your Saturday. Winds remain that 10 to 15 mile per hour range, 75 by Sunday afternoon. Above average and dry. That dry is something that does start changing to look toward next week. But between now and then, again, it's that gradual day-to-day increase. we're sitting about 2 to 5 degrees warmer than we were yesterday in most locations. So working things just a little bit warmer out there this evening. And Mississippi Live Weather Radar, those latest scans only detecting some bugs, though by next week, late in the week, rain chances become more likely. Here's a look at Futurecast, though, in the short term. As you can see here this evening, not a lot of difference in those wind direction there, mainly just kind of sort of out of an easterly direction, but more than anything, they're fairly calm. 10 p.m., mostly clear conditions out there. We do show just the signs back here, Cleveland, Greenwood, toward Kosciuszko, of maybe a little bit of fog developing 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but more likely to develop some of that pretty much right around dawn. You can see at 6 a.m. there, showing a little bit back toward Memphis and Olive Branch, also down toward Hollandale, toward Greenville. So again, lower locations there. But watch closely how this goes and develops there from Houston back toward around Kosciuszko and Starkville. As we go between 6 to 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, that becomes more likely. So mid-40s out there, farther east out here for Tupelo, Amory, back toward around Vernon, Alabama, versus back toward the west as we're at about 54 degrees, as you can see there in Greenwood, about 56 in Cleveland, 55 degrees Belzona, and 57, so pretty mild in the Greenville area. So watch closely. Here's how very quickly a little bit of that fog develops early in the day there. Louisville back toward around Eupora and Houston. It even shows maybe a little bit of that still around 10 a.m. for tomorrow, and then going more partly cloudy skies as we progress toward around midday. But no precipitation out there as we are dry and clear. And that ridge of high pressure is still the storyline. Continues 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon as you're picking those kids up from school. No precipitation. We are dry throughout your Friday. And, of course, we mentioned that includes those Friday night football games. So high temperatures for tomorrow. We typically should be around 65 for this time of the year. Instead, we're going to be 78 in Greenville there, 78 degrees Belzona and Greenwood, 77 in Oxford, Holly Springs about 75. And our Mississippi Live Game of the Week, we mentioned a minute ago, we're going to be up in Faulkner there. So highs for you tomorrow, probably around 74, 75 degrees in the afternoon. So warming up considerably over what we were certainly earlier this week. And as we head in the evening, again, dry, 8 p.m. for halftime a lot of those games, and dry as we conclude them as well. So largely still under the influence of high pressure, not just here, but across the entire southeastern United States. While we show some clouds back to the west of us here Friday evening, and those slowly working toward us, no rainfall with those as any moisture, as you can see, well up to the north of us, really back out there more toward West Virginia, some higher elevations there, seeing a little bit of moisture. So starting off your Saturday morning, again, with mostly clear conditions, and that pattern probably continues, I think, largely into your Saturday as well. But our next, our next front, more up there toward around the upper plains. And this one is kind of a question as we go into the first of next week. You can see kind of changing between models there for a second. As we go toward midday Saturday, we are still dry, well ahead of that. And so that means your weekend forecast staying dry and clear. Well, maybe a few clouds, obviously, out there into Alabama associated with some of these little bits of moisture that we have, but no precipitation coming from that as we are dry into your late day Saturday. Saturday's high temperatures pushing those into the upper 70s for Bruce and Houston once again, normal 64. See that going down every day, but our temperature actually ticking up a little bit because of this overall pattern. We're at 79 degrees in Greenville, 77 Cleveland, and 79 degrees in Greenwood and Columbus, about 79, 77 Starkville, and 76 degrees in New Albany. I'm going to take this out of play because I want to make sure that my next graphic here, we got to get those football forecasts in there. Gabe, I need you to pop in for a second here, make sure I get the right ones of these for all those college football forecasts. I'm going to pop in your audio here for a moment to make sure I get the right ones on that because at the time those need to show up. SEC, 3 letters that matter, right? So that would be probably the 3 that, that just changed. SEC.
Yeah, Mississippi State's the only one that's away. The rest are home.
Okay, so it's the 3. You know what I could have also done? Just looked at the date they were updated, right?
Yeah, but that's too easy.
I know. Why would I do that? Okay. So let's put that in play. Oh, we're getting previews of those. No, let's jump right into it. Alabama versus Oklahoma. That game, probably going to be a pretty good game there. 77, the first play of that one. And in Tuscaloosa, good to have them at home, I'm sure. 75 degrees at halftime and 64 by the conclusion. And 2:30 start on that. It will be warm in the stadium, similar in some cases to the way last week was, as we're kind of getting some bonus early season or maybe mid-season football weather here. Mississippi State on the road there at Missouri, coming in 68 for the first play of that one, 61 by the conclusion under what will be likely mostly clear skies out there, and hoping to keep, again, that forecast dry, and then probably dry again for, hold on, did I dry in Mississippi State twice? No, I just went back and hit that one again. I guess we really want to make sure we hit Mississippi State.
I actually
go
messed
ahead.
up on that graphic, and I put 5:45, and it's actually 6:45. Forgot to drag it into the graphic system, so that's on me. It was an hour later, but it doesn't really change the forecast. That's a good thing about it.
I was going to say, well, luckily we had the forecast hard-coded there. We got the forecast right, even if we missed the text, right?
Exactly.
So, okay. Well, that makes more sense. I thought I was losing my mind. And maybe it's just a tuxedo, because I think you get 20% smarter in a tuxedo. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Is that one of those 75% of statistics that are made up on the fly? Anyway. Well, I thought I'd get something from the Peanut Gallery on that one, but I did not. Okay, 69 kickoff temperature. Ole Miss in Florida. That's okay, Gabe. 67 by halftime and 66 the conclusion of that one. Again, mostly clear conditions. An evening game there, and probably going to be a great forecast, honestly, as far as football is concerned for that. Okay, now let's hop back into the day-to-day stuff here as we pick up on Saturday evening. Again, dry and clear. That next front getting closer to us. And this is, Gabe and I spent a significant amount of time talking about this front prior to the show here, what we wanted to do with it. Because you see moisture kind of riding into the area, right? Kind of getting up here. So we show some clouds around those pre-dawn hours of early Sunday. And it's possible that as we go into the first of next week, that this could lead to eventually some more rain chances there. But you can see here for the first part of Sunday, while we show that front kind of nudging in from the north, I don't see a stitch of moisture along that at all, right? So I just don't know that there's enough fuel for it to use up when it's here, and it doesn't look like everything's necessarily perfect aloft, but I do think that even though this shows up as disconnected here, you could probably, and maybe probably should, just connect this line in between here as well with the alternating red and blue that we have here to indicate a stationary front, meaning that this is just going to kind of stick around for the first part of next week. As it does, is it going to go north and wind, or is it instead going to go south and wind? A lot of times it stays put. And sometimes when that's the case, that's when we end up having these isolated showers. And I put those on backward, didn't I? Oh, man. That's Meteorology 101 stuff, Gabe. Anyway, the warm trying to push north, the cold trying to push south. Either way, that system right there, that front, sticks around, I think, near our area into next week. And that's where the rain chances come in. You see how we have some icons here showing the possibility of some rain. And yet we left the percentages off of there. Here's the thinking. First off, we probably need to underdo those icons a little bit more at 6 o'clock. But secondly, it's not impossible to see a couple of isolated showers showing up possibly Monday into Tuesday associated with that front. I just think the moisture is pretty marginal. It's more likely that it would be Wednesday before that happened. And even then, it's probably more likely late Thursday night and into Friday that those chances get a little bit better as we look toward the latter part of next week, in particular with that next system moving toward us. Now, that's the one that was more than 3,000 miles away, basically Alaska, western Alaska at this point. So because that's got so far to move, it is going to evolve substantially before it gets here. And so the other kind of takeaway to kind of note as far as that's concerned, I'm going to go back over here to our analysis mode where, again, we typically just show all this kind of stuff. But I want to instead show the severe weather risk from the Storm Prediction Center that far out. And this might come as a 0% shock to anybody as we look toward Thursday of next week where there's no areas out there at this point. Confidence in a severe weather potential for late next week is not high at this point, but most of that has to do with the timing being way off on this. So as we get closer and our confidence in timing increases, the likelihood of us having a severe weather area, I think, increases as well. So I saw Gabe updating a second ago. So here is the updated version on that forecast. We changed those icons out a little bit there, those graphics. So I think it's possible we could have a few isolated showers, maybe 20% coverage at most. That is something, again, we'll be looking at as we get closer on whether or not we need to adjust those up just a little bit. Of course, our next live broadcast is going to be coming up at 6 p.m. here in the Room to Room Weather Center. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynard, will be looking at that specific question. What do the severe weather chances look like for late next week and the timing on that? He's going to break that down using the GFS, or sometimes we call it the American model. Its timing is still a little flexible, as is our European, our main projections there. He'll have that update at 6 o'clock looking toward those storm chances and breaking down everything you need to know, of course, for your weekend forecast here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We hope to see you then. And again, thank you so much for supporting us here. If you're watching us on Facebook and Twitter as well as YouTube, thank you. Like and subscribe. It really makes a difference. You can always get our Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available for all of those various devices here. I'll bring it back here one time, and I'll pop up actually for just a moment, because that changes my background behind me. That ability to show you how to get that app, which again, I think obviously we feel very good about it. And where's it at? I might have moved that to a different thing. Full screens? Oh, see, look at me trying to find the right thing. Where are my QR codes? Virtual QR codes? Give it one more try. Bueller? Nope, that did not work. Oh, well. We'll get that figured out for later. And also, we got to figure out the live bug at the top there, Gabe. We've got a list of things for 6 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, but she's little.
Do you have any unlocked guns around the house?
We do have a gun, but it's stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, of course.
The bravest thing that my dad has done has been going back to school.
It wasn't when he first enlisted, it was when he found his first support group.
The bravest thing she did is when she asked for help.